Welcome to my little tutorial. I'm doing a tutorial for a mixed media layout. I've chose a 12 by 12 layout, and this is specifically for Janna Werner's blog. I have started with a photo, 8.5 by 11 of my daughter, which I turned black and white in Lightroom. I printed it on Nina White cardstock just with my home printer. I also printed a 4x6 with a white border of the same photo in color, which I edited in Lightroom. I chose this circle cut background, which I had in my stash of cameo cuts. I will try to link up a similar cut file. This was just one that I had cut out a bunch of circles. So I cut it out of a coconut swirl basil white cardstock, my favorite cardstock, so nice. Now what I'm trying to decide what I want to do is how I want to fill in the back negative cuts. Little experimenting the other night, making alcohol ink little experiments on acetate. I used a few of the colors that I have of alcohol ink, just pure alcohol ink, no blending solution. I dripped them down and I thought it was kind of a cool look. I don't like it on its own, but I do like the little hints peeking through the negative cuts of this wonky circle thing. I think it's kind of cool, and it's kind of the same hues, a little bit brighter, of this photo. My other thought for this page is, because it's a photo of Millie dancing, I wanted to use this, I believe it's a Maggie Holmes, yes, I cut the strip off. I believe it's her Gather collection, a Maggie Holmes music note paper in the background. I really like this look. I like how it makes the picture pop. I like that it's blue and not black, but it's still very neutral. But it's a bit busy, so I'm not too sure if I'm going to go this route. I have some more thinking to do, and then I'll come back and show you what I've come up with and explain the process. So I did a little bit more playing around, and I'm going to try using both the alcohol ink acetate sheet that I came up with and the Maggie Holmes music paper behind it. What I might try to do is cover some of the music paper just to create some more white space, because I really am a big fan of white space, and then use those little bits of white space to add a few more mixed media details or even just embellishments. It's always nice to have a spot on your layout where your eye can rest, and I like that. I think it's kind of cool. It brings in the music notes to go along with the dancing theme. It incorporates the alcohol ink acetate that I made. It's the same type of, I think the muted music note paper with the alcohol ink colors really tie in the colors on this photo, and it still showcases the black and white, which kind of peeks through. So I'm going to show you how I plan to adhere the acetate and the music paper to just this section of circles. I'm going to be using my favorite Sukwang tape. It's super strong. I find it easy to use. Okay, so I'm going to line up the acetate. I'm going to let it go all the way to the bottom. Just because acetate is pretty tricky to trim, I'm going to trim it afterwards. It's hard to go on a jagged line, and I don't want to risk cutting out any of the parts that I don't want cut out. So make sure you've got it. Flip it over, and since it's see-through, you can still kind of see a little bit where you want to make sure that it's not, that it's covering the full cutout of the circle. So find some areas you need. And then just stick it under there. I'm not going to take any of the backing off yet because I want to make sure some of the bits of fuzz are off of the acetate. I don't want to make sure I don't want them to be on there for good. If that makes any sense. Okay, I think that is good for that side. So I'm going to take this, I can't remember what the machine, oh, slice, it says it. My old slice machine, which I still have. Does anybody know how to fix those? This spatula is the best thing because I had nails put on a while ago, and when I got them taken off, they're just awful, awful thin, so I can't get the paper off, but this works great. So get it in there. Be sure that you still have this lined up. Oh, I got a little bit piece there. I'll just have to slice a chunk of that off. Okay, we're good here, we're good here, we're good at the top. Press down, and I'm going to put a little bit on this side as well. Make sure it's good and adhered. I always use sequin. It's my favorite. I find things just don't come off when you use it. Unlike other, you know, like the handheld adhesives. And now you can see how that worked pretty good. I have a little spot I need to trim off there. It moved. Then what I'm going to do is, because I don't want to use the waste this full sheet, I only have one, so I might want to use it on other things. And I really like this little bit of fake tape showing through. So I'm going to line this up as well on the edge so that I can still use this piece on another project. I'm just going to actually line it up right directly behind the acetate and then mark it and use my cutter to trim it. So, and hopefully I'll trim it a little bit bigger just in case, because it's not going to be, a straight cut won't work since the circles aren't lined up. So I'll trim it a little bit bigger. And then I can hand cut whatever I need to make sure it's lined up perfectly within the cutout circles. So oh, I just want to see what the yellow would be like. That's kind of cool, but we're going to stick with the music sheet. That's what I want. And I want that tape to pop through. So I want to line it up on this side so the tape pops through over here. And we'll get some sequin. Whatever is peeking through the cutouts, I'll just cut with my scissors by hand. So we'll put tape in the same spots because it worked that way the first time. Great. I can hear the birds singing outside. Spring was here and then it disappeared. I can't wait for it to come back again. We had some ice snow the other day. Well, rain yesterday, cold rain. It's kind of chilly out there today. I think I'm gonna put a little piece over here. I know it takes a little bit extra time to take this paper off. It really is easier if your nails aren't like mine. It's easy to just get it off with your nails. But this tool is super handy with it. I don't mind that it takes a little bit longer to take the backing off because it really does work awesome. Things don't fall off down the road. I'm just gonna double check. Remember this one. There. That's good. Good. Okay, that part is done. I really like how it turned out. And of course, off camera, I'm just gonna trim. I might trim all this so the color is perfect. Actually, let's try it out because these scissors seem to be super sharp. Maybe this will work. And it is. There we go. And then I'll take another sheet of the Coconut Swirl Basil white cardstock, and that will be the backing. I do plan on using these pop dots behind here so that the sheet is popped up a bit. So before I do that, I need to figure out what I'm going to fill in, which circles I'm going to fill in and what I'm going to use to fill those in. And then I can add the pop dots and finish up the page. I want to do some journaling, so I think what I'm going to do is I have these 4x6 white cardstock paper from Michaels. I'm going to use one of them and put it through the typewriter to do a little bit of journaling on. If you don't have a typewriter and you have a Mac, there is, under your applications, there is a type text, something text. I'll have to double check on what it's called, but it's perfect. You can use a typewriter font on it. It's just a quick note app that you can pull up, type on it, print on a printer paper, and then because the printer paper is see-through, hold it up and you tape this on with washi tape for where you want the words to print, and you run it through the printer again. So if you don't have a typewriter, you can do that. I'll type up the instructions on how to do that in the tutorial. So I definitely want to have some journaling either here or within these three. I'll figure that out. And then I'm going to do some gold embossing with a stamp in either one of these or maybe the big one. We'll see. There's a few things that I'm going to add to this.